从硅到我们看到了，我们也许有一天，我们想去实现一个数据的长期存储，我们要依靠我们的 DNA 来完成。快速的拉动 IT 基础设施的一个进步，所以在我来看，我们未来比如说人工智能和人类会怎么发展，它会是一个碳硅结合的一个未来。在这个过程中，我们今天已经看到曙光的量子计算和我们今天已经呼之欲出的电信存储，它将极大的去颠覆我们现在大家所熟知的基于冯诺依曼架构的和硅基存储的这一套的一个生产方式。所以，其实不管我们的科技怎么做，未来把各个学科的一个数字化转型，或者说我更喜欢用升级这个词，是每一个组织在未来获得竞争力的一个必由之路。大家可能都知道，华大其实在全世界做了很多的火眼实验室来帮助大家去抗疫。那么，在这个过程中，实际上它的背后其实不是靠大量的人工，而是靠我们进行大量的数字化、标准化、自动化，用工程化的方式去实现了把中国的这种制造业的能力向全世界去驰援。再往后看，大家可以快速的看一下这边我右手的这个视频，这是去年8月6号在香港，我们帮助香港第一次这个全民普检，跟国家队一起。大家看一个标准的篮球场，这是晚上的9点，然后我们迅速的把这些膜铺进去，11点，然后我们用高压气门就开始吹了，这是2点，到第二天的早晨2点半，到第二天早晨的3点多，将近4点的时候。
The second day, at early morning, 3 a.m. to 4 p.m., we finished the testing in a very, very fast manner. We completed 10 million doses. Today, China's manufacturing industry is able to deliver the fast testing that covers the whole population and covers 7 million population. You've heard the good news about the EDG taking the champion. Some may say that you don't know what is EDG. If you say you don't know, then what I could say, maybe you are out of the trend. So, what have we done to make this far? We should build upon the knowledge based on what we already know. So we rely on science and technology. The new ideas is driven the progress of technology. You know that science never begins from the discoveries, but from tools and techniques. So, because we invented the microscope, we have a new discipline. So, during the progress of science and technology, it is not only about a new industry, it is about the tremendous change in the technological progress. So either in math or physics, we have to make a facility large enough to take in all the signals. So we have this facility legal. How big is it? It has 2 sets of facilities that runs across 3,000 miles across the United States. So this telescope is as large as the size of United States. So it is for the first time we detected the gravity wave. So secondly, I want to share with you another discovery of another scientist in 1969 who wanted to discover the particle. So the question is whether this discovery will contribute to the progress of the national defense. And this scientist said there would not be any direct boost to the technology, but that is the essence of the mega science project. The essence of innovation must be narrowed down to the innovation in science and technology. So we have this FAST program in China, a 500 spherical telescope. it is a very significant project for the Chinese to unveil the mysteries in the universe. And we also have other advanced facilities. For example, we know that the strongest power of science and technology of the world lies in the United States, but China is trying to catch up. What can we do to deliver a better life for our people, for the people to feel more confident in terms of culture? We must rely on science and technology. I will talk about this in a more detailed manner, but the time does not allow today. Science and technology is different from the inventions. We talk a lot about the bottleneck technologies. These are the fields we need to work really hard on. If you want to find a different path to outcompete others, that may be dangerous. If you want to change to a different course, that might be that might be dangerous. So the science is driven by the curiosity, and technology is driven. It can be quantified, and engineering is driven by the economic targets. And we all have these projects like the genome projects. These projects can be really helpful because they are driven by mega targets. So we are also keen to develop the mega science engineering projects. So the Chinese science projects are driven by ambitious targets. So today we talk about technology. So what is technology after all? So the technology was mimical in the past, but in the future it can play a mega role. There is something we know, but there is more we don't know. And any technology, including the life science, cannot solve all the problems that humanity face. And technology without facing the problems of humanity must be dangerous. So some technologies that aim to take people to the heaven will end up with taking people to the hell instead. So you know Elon Musk, whose aim is at the universe, is to go to the universe. And while Mark Zuckerberg is talking about a meta-universe. So we need to have, if we have so much information in our brain, we will be more obsessed or anxious. So when we build this information highway, not every one of us is able to traverse through the universe, but we all have this ambition towards the universe. We have the belief in the universe. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ying, for the inspiring speech. You talk a lot about the future, about the disruptive technologies. So there are two questions from the floor. First is about this summit. We talked a lot about biotech in this summit. Biotech is related to the life of the people, and you also talk about the power of technology against the backdrop of a complicated society. So what role does the biotech play in preventing against the COVID-19? You know, Omicron, the variant, is developing fast across the world. It started from South Africa. It is changing very fast, and people are watching the speed of the change of the Omicron variant. It is not that the virus is moving faster in terms of speed and capacity. It is that people are getting to watch this development. And we are developing the vaccines to contain the virus. And we are trying to develop new types of vaccines. Last but not least, we hope we can have equal access to the public service. The end of this crisis depends not on the country that performs the best, but the country that performs the worst. The second question is related to your thinking of the meta-universe. You also said the future innovation lies not in the innovation in the business models, but in the technology innovation. So what do you think of the future innovation that might take place? If you watch the Black Mirror, the episode, you might be familiar with several scenes. In the physical real world today, we talk about the law of the universe that applies the same to everyone. But the law of the meta-universe, who has the law of the meta-universe? Is it lying in the hands of the holder of the equity holders or the bosses? I think everyone has its independent thinking. We all have our own choice. And I also read a book before that is about having too much entertainment activities that we lost our logical thinking. So what matters most is our brain, our ability to think. So if we begin to think independently, then we have this meta-universe by ourselves. So the biotech for the future combines the bio world and also the physical world. So we also talk about dark matter, the dark hole. It matters to the origin of life, the origin of the universe. And the most important is the origin of the consciousness. So we need to get down to the origin of the consciousness. To some extent, it is more important how you think, how you use your mind. We must act like our pioneers, but with our own thinking, we can excel and we can do better. So we need to have this curiosity to keep exploring and developing our thinking so that one day the humanity can live in a meta-universe that allows we to prosper and develop. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ng. Thank you, CEO Ng. Thank you for taking us to the horizon of the universe. Today, we have with us a lot of researchers and scientists, and they are eager to exchange their ideas with you, and they may talk with you later. And now let's welcome onto stage our second guest. The second speaker will talk to us through a virtual way. He is from Huawei, and he is a science and technology blogger. His topic is about the Iron Man in technology. Hello, Zhihui. Hello, the hosts. Would you say hi to the audience? You may start now. First of all, I'd like to thank the host for this opportunity for me to deliver a speech at the closing ceremony of the summit. As the time is quite pressurized, I did not prepare a concrete speech. But what I learned is a BME at college, so I'd like to share some insights in this area. I also heard there are some young men present at today's conference, so I'm really happy to know that. I'm not sure if you watched my videos before. Can you hear me? Yes. I thought there might be a problem with the technology. So I work on a technology field that is quite interesting because many people called me a whole-time engineer, but I'm not that senior actually. What I post on the web is out of interest, but I have a full-time job at a Huawei company. You know, Huawei is good at accomplish big things. So the ICT industry is what I focus on at present. It is about the information technology and also the communication technology. And you also know the artificial intelligence. It is about the recognition and also the efficient processing of information. To put it in a simple way, it is about the computing and the calculation. So we are keen about the calculation power like the 5G, the optical fiber, but the calculation power is about the computing power of the machine. So the 5G is a infrastructure facility for this area. Our technology has something to do with the chips. We have been working a lot in the industry, including the 5G technology and also the calculation solutions. So a CPU is what we work on, and also NPU is also what we work on. So I focus on the algorithms and calculation methods. In terms of the chips, we built the AI framework and the chip infrastructure. If you work in the AI field, you know what we are up to. So based on the cloud solutions, we built this whole infrastructure. So all in all, we provide a controllable AI solutions to the industry. Our field matters a lot to the computing industry. So we talk a lot about the regions of the consciousness. We have three parts about AI: the algorithms, the computing power, and the calculation method. You know, AI was first put forward as an idea in the 1950s by datum technology. The researchers focused on the experiences to produce a engineering method. And they studied the behaviorism and other scholarsism. But now we focus on a whole ocean of data, and we also developed new types of AI. We also applied AI into the gaming industry so that AI can help detect the best solution out of a great amount of data. But the AI also needs human interference. So there was a moment when we talk about AI and we talk about human interventions. But along with the technological development, we have begun to unveil the advantages of AI. We carried out pre-trainings, and this may help us solve the problem of insufficient computing power. And this proved effective in fulfilling different tasks, and the storage amount can amount to very high level. So the margins of AI technology is still in the beginning to show in the beginning stage. I have no doubt in the development of potential of AI technology, but its future depends on the maturity of the technology. And this technology also depends on the number of the neurons of human brains. So 80 trillion is the number for the neurons, but we are aimed higher. We hope to achieve a more remarkable progress in the computing power. Well, I have talked much. This is so much about what we have been doing for the industry. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to come to us. Well, thank you, Zhihui, for your wonderful speech. I have one question. We saw on the web you had produced a lot of inventions. So what is the driving force for your behavior? I think it is out of pure interest. Since I was a kid, my family was not that well established, but I was supported very well in terms of playing with the gadgets. And I was inspired by one sentence, that is to explore the universe. So I am amazed at the speed of science and technology, and that led me to the field of science and technology, and later to AI technology. And I think this field, we have a great potential for the AI technology. So now I have my hands in many AI projects. This is one hand of my interest. And on the other hand, it is related to my life. I shared one invention, that is the bicycle, once. And that was because I got hurt when riding bicycle in raining days. So I decided to improve the bicycle to make it more user-friendly. So I introduced some new design to the bicycle, and I invented a mechanical arm. So these inventions came from my life. Now my room is feeling like a lab. So to build a robot by myself is my dream. And I hope in the future I can make more AI technology supported inventions. So this will be my coolest dream. Thank you, Zhihui, for sharing your interesting ideas. And we have noticed your design is full of novelty. You said you want to make an AI robot that displayed the coolest technology. So how far is it still from your dream? Well, I think this question depends not only on myself, but on the technological development level of the whole humanity. If my inventions are only about entertainment purposes, I don't think we can go too far in achieving our dream. So I think we need to do better to go further in our dreams. Well, Zhihui, thank you very much for your interesting insights. And next, we will have on stage another a very important person in the AI field. Thank you for sharing. Well, the third speaker comes from Beijing Generic Technology Lab and the Chinese president of the SEEM, the International Computing Society. He will talk about the cognitive world and the dark matter. Welcome. Dear audience, hello everyone. Yesterday afternoon, I shared in an innovation forum about AI technology and what we have been doing over the past decade. And now I'd like to avail of this opportunity of the closing ceremony to discuss the future trend of artificial intelligence. The AI technology develops very fast because in our daily life, we can feel the convenience brought by the AI technology. But today, I'd like to first share the history of AI technology so that you can see how it develops over the time. I think one speaker mentioned the 1956 Dartmouth conference that unveiled the chapter of AI development. So I like to divide the history of AI development into 3 chapters plus 3 chapters. In the 1950s, we witnessed its birth. And then in the 1970s of decline of its development. And in the 1980s, this development picked up again. But later followed by 2 declines again. In physics, because there were 2 problems to be solved. One is about the symbols to be implemented. What is the symbols to be implemented? So, for example, if you go to an indoor space, you need to have the facial recognition. If it is successfully recognized, then it represents a successful symbol to be implemented. Another is the common sense to be acquired. So it is about the experience-based knowledge. However, AI has not fully implemented its role in this regard. So we later witnessed the robots, the natural language recognition, and other related technologies that developed so fast in humanity's history. As far as the warriors period in ancient China, the birth of the Qing dynasty in China produced a single, united China. So we need the machine learning, we need the technology development of AI. So the historical evolution presents 2 changes in the scientific paradigms. So first is about statistics. So you may want to discuss the probability statistics. So the deep learning mode of big data is important. It comes from everyone who is sitting here. First, it's about the period of cognitive recognition. You have this small device, this portable device that stores loads of images and videos. Secondly, we have this highly developed internet that is able to transmit the data. That's why we are able to live in this big data world. But in the last centuries, even when we wanted to live in today's world, we can't do it due to the limit of the technology. The boom of technology goes hand in hand with the time. Well, we have another question. So what does A represent for AI? Does it represent A plus B and C and D? Is it about big data and computing power and deep learning? No one gives the answer. In many scenes, we applied this mode. But for a single mode, this law works. But we will consume a high cost. Sometimes you don't know how the result comes from. You don't know the law of the working process. So in many of today's working scenarios, there can be some problems. So how to solve these problems? I'd like to give you a metaphor. For example, there are two kinds of birds. On the left, there is a parrot. On the right, there is a raven. You know, the parrot looks more pretty, and it repeats what humanity teaches her. But I don't think the parrot understands what the humanity means, and it doesn't have its own logical thinking. So we give data, task, and structure. It's like giving the parrot a lot of data. No matter how much data you give the parrot, it does not understand what you say. And it does not understand the logic behind. And what about a raven? I tried to play the video, but there was no sound, unfortunately. This raven came from a Japan biologist, and the scientist followed the life of the raven and the raven groups for a long time. So he kept tracking the life of the ravens to see what the ravens are up to every day. So the raven needs to be fed, needs food, needs the nuts. However, the raven cannot open the nuts by itself. But the raven tried to learn a new method. For example, when the raven tries to throw the nut onto the road surface, so that when one car runs over, then the nut will be broken for the raven to eat. But there may be one risk, that is to be run into the car. That is the risk of life. And then the raven learned about another rule, that is the traffic lights. When there was the red lights and the car was not running, the raven was able to pick up the nut. So what can we learn from the life of the raven? First is to observe life and to reason and to know how to get what you want. So this serial decision-making represents the raven mode. In this example, the raven did not use any data, but the goal was really to survive. So the raven decided to build a structure, and that is to eat the nut. So there are three key factors, the algorithms, the big data, and also the mode. But more importantly, I think that is the task and the structure. You need to build the structure based on the task. Working hard is really important, but knowing how to make a choice is more important. So when we decide how to choose one partner to work with, that is a question of the structure. Whether you have enough knowledge didn't matter, actually. When you encounter a new problem in a new environment, you will have this ability to adapt to the new environment, and that is the thing that matters. So different choices deliver different solutions. So we need to move one step beyond. I think the name of this conference, Beyond, is really a wise choice. When we talk about dark matter, what can dark matter really bring to human society? Dark matter takes up 95% of humanity's decisions. It is not only about these superficial decisions, it's about what lies in depth and what lives in the core. So we need to work beyond the cognitive sphere and work on the tasks and the structures in order to complement a supply with the shortages of the AI. So that is what we are promoting as the humanity and AI cooperation. So what problems are we going to solve? And the answer lies on this slide. We need to connect the divided dots, the natural linguistic understanding, the machine learning, the reasoning of the machines must be coordinated in order to fulfill the whole task. For example, we have eyes, ears, mouth, and nose. But more importantly, we have the brain and the hearts to coordinate our organs. And our heart must have a reasonable value. So what about the future trend of AI technology? And we think the AI technology will be cross-setting or interdisciplinary. Among all the abilities that humanity has, it is all-encompassing. We have the cognitive understanding, our visual ability. For example, when we see something with our eyes, it is not only about a sight. It is about geometrical relationship. It's about reasoning. And when we talk about the conversations, it is not about language. It is about interactions. And it is about repetitive and similar conversations. When you talk to different people about the same thing, you may have personalized the answers. And when you try to understand the intent of others, this will be a task or challenge in the future. So in the future, we may need a comprehensive theoretical framework so that all kinds of life scenarios will be applied to these theories. And second characteristic is still about the interdisciplinary, and it applies to each and every aspect of our life. It applies to each organ, each cell of the human body, and to the home appliances, to your libraries, to your living rooms, to your surrounding environment, and also to the cities you live in, and to the city governance model, and also to the society at large. So if we move one step forward, the AI technology, apart from the current technology sphere, it also has some meaning in each way of life, like philosophy. So if we watch the books about the physics, about the math, we have the value functions. So every day, you you make the similar choices every day. Whether you reach a balance in your life, so you make similar choices every day. So it is about the civilization of humanity and also about carbon-based solutions. So I believe that in the future, AI will bring a very beautiful life to humanity. It is for improving the well-being of the people. It represents good virtue and kindness and benevolence. It will not destroy people's life. Instead, it will bring goodness to people's life. So we need to coordinate its functions. So looking to the future, how can we take actions? We talked about the technological roots of AI and how it relates to our reality and our society. After all, AI is a complex technology. So how to coordinate such a complex system? So the AI technology solves a number of complex issues. I will not go to details, but I would like to share a slogan in 2014 when we work on a project supported by a number of American scientists. If you cannot solve a problem, you gotta solve a complex one. So if you work on a simple issue in the past, but now you need a systematic and a holistic view. That is why China is working on a mega science projects and engineering projects currently. So we need the support of the fundamental paradigm. We need the shift in our organizational structure. Now I'd like to say some words about my institute, the Beijing Institute for General Artificial Intelligence. Last year, we introduced a number of young scientists and strategic scientists. And these scientists love the country and love their own career. I mentioned the Raven model. So these scientists are displaying the way of thinking of the Raven model. They want to build a platform that applies the reasoning, the cognitive model, and the right values, and to promote the harmonious society. And this is our ultimate goal. You may notice on this slide our logo of the company. It is a combination of the West and the Eastern world. It represents our aspirations for a beautiful world. And this is designed by our chief scientist. And this logo represents a calligraphic element of Chinese calligrapher Wang Xizhi. If you take a look from another angle, you may find the letters of AGI, that is the General Artificial Intelligence for our institute. So we think it's a wise design for the logo. Thank you. Thank you, Director Dong, for your wonderful speech. You shared with us the interesting story about the Raven and Parrot models and about the tasks and the structure. These are very insightful. You said the future world may be driven by AI technology. We also read some novels that one day, with the advanced development of AI technology, the technology may have awareness by itself. Would that be a terrible world? Thank you for your question. I actually mentioned that in my speech, and that is how to look at AI technology and its relationship with humanity. Will AI bring some side effects to the humanity? I don't think so. How to guarantee that AI will not have the side effect? China and the rest of the world are working on the ethical issue side of the AI technology. We are working on two hands. One is about technology. When we design the development of AI technology, we are keen on developing the cognitive structure. It's divided into 5 layers. One is about instructional interaction. And secondly, is about the cognitive sphere. And level 3 is about the general artificial intelligence for coordinating all the resources related. Level 4 represents the theory of the minds. This theory may sound scary, but it's not scary at all. It represents the reactions in your mind. Though I cannot see your facial expressions clearly, I may feel what topics you are interested in and what topics you are not. Level 5 is about the values of the society. It listed the things we can do and we cannot. And so it represents a balance of the functions. It's like the humanity. When you come to the world, you need to learn the norms of the world. So that applies to AI too. The AI needs to learn to grow and develop. We also have the legal frameworks to contain the AI technology, to name what kind of things that AI can do and cannot. And we also decide on what kind of data that can be harnessed or not. So with the help of the legal framework, I think we can contain the side effect of AI. Well, thank you for sharing. We have a second question. You represent the Beijing Institute of General Artificial Intelligence, so you focused on the AI research. Do you think there will be a universal standard for AI, or different countries may have different standards for AI technology? For China, what do you think the scientists can do to help? Thank you for raising. This is a really good question and a macro question. The general artificial intelligence is a heated area that the countries compete for. And each country is making the macro plan in this area. And China is doing the same. But we are keen to create a humanity for all. Like you said, we need to combine with the local culture when we go to a different country. So if you look closer at AI technology, it's not that scary at all. And there can be things we can do together with AI technology. And if we can handle the relationship well, AI can play a big role. It can be our soulmate. This is my expectation, and it should become our common aspiration. So next year, I hope I can bring our AI baby to this stage next year. Thank you, Director Dong, for your wonderful speech, and we look forward to next year to you bringing the new achievement to the stage. Thank you. Now let's welcome onto stage the next speaker. The last speaker comes from Macau, and he is awarded winner for this year's awards. He is a PhD supervisor, and will talk about the biotech materials directed for the treatment of cancer. Professor Dai, welcome. Good afternoon, everyone. I come from the Institute of Health from Macau University. It's my great pleasure to see you all and talk about the materials, metal materials for curing the cancer. First, some words about the background. We work on the metal materials. We eat fruit every day. We drink the green tea, and also in the Chinese medicine, we all have this polyphenol. So it is antioxidant. It helps prevent aging. So if you look at the chemical structure, you can find how it is made up of. You can find in the daily food the structural links. So you can see that we focus on a basic research. So we try to produce a moly material based on the polyphenol. So talking about the chemical components, it can work together with other chemical elements. The chemical reaction process is very simple. It can be realized in a simple way. So we focus on the polyphenol with the iron. With the metal ions, if we use the metal ions and combine them with the polyphenol, they can react very fast. So you can see on this slide the reaction process of the metal-phenol coordination. So it represents the acidic, the neutral process until it reaches the alkaline process. So the one ion works together with 3 polyphenol. So the process can change its structure easily to form very fast a nanoscale or millimeter scale structure. So we try to control different sizes of the metals and to produce a mono polyphenol. We also used the iron and mega iron to form the metal materials. We also worked on the manganese ions to play its function as the biomaterials. We also worked on the small molecule anti-cancer drugs. The reaction process is very fast and simple. It does not involve any complex processes. So we can produce the material based on our needs. We have a lab, and we published our results in the internationally renowned magazines. So we published the work of the Institute of Health of the Macau University. There is one article that we pay special attention to. It is about this polyphenol. It shows how we worked on the material by applying the nano method. So we worked on the experiments to change the characteristics of the material. And we worked on the imaging methods of the materials. And these were all worked for the treatment of the drugs. So today I will focus on the materials designated for the treatment of the cancer. It involves the immunotherapy and the chemotherapy. To give you an example, we selected the national active components of the traditional Chinese medicine. We noticed that the microstructure within the material. And we started to intervene with human intervene methods. And this treatment can help with the chemical treatment. We can control the size of the material to the nanoscale. And we can also control the density of the material to 30 nanometers. It can also produce a very effective method for the chemotherapy. So this material can help curb the development of the cancer cells. So the cell wall can also help prevent the cancer. So this all contribute to the chemotherapy. You can see on this slide the periodic table of the elements. And also you can see the interaction of X-ray with high-Z materials. So these materials can have a photoelectric effect. The photoelectric effect can destroy the harmful cells, so it contributes to the chemotherapy. And it can destroy the long wave X-ray. If it's an ultraviolet ray, we can use the X-ray to intervene. The X-ray can contribute to the chemotherapy, and the metal materials can be transformed to the therapies. So we have made a comprehensive combination of the materials. So we used different elements to work together with the polyethanol, the polyphenol. So even in a single mouse experiment, we have discovered effective results to curb the development of the harmful cells. And we can also detect the location of the cancer, the tumor, so that we can apply targeted therapy to the tumor and also improve the circulation efficiency in the blood. So during the treatment, after 3 trials that last 10 days, this therapy can curb the development of tumor cells. We also applied MNO dioxide to generate the oxygen to curb the development of tumor cells. So this is a model for the skin and cancer. We combined the application of different materials, especially the metal cells, and apply these materials to the surface of the skin. And this has proved very effective in terms of the targeted therapy. And it helps a lot to target the tumors. You can see on this slide the comparison of the target molecules So this has proved very effective in curbing the tumor cells. Recently, we have been working on several experiments. For example, modulating exosome secretion, because tricky tumor cells can collaterally secrete. To suppress the T cell to help the therapy of the cancer. So in our projects, we discovered the role of the iron, which is very helpful to curb the tumor cells. And it also plays an important role in the lymphs. So the immunocell will not be inactivated with this therapy. For the basic characteristics, I will not go into details. For the materials, the size is controlled at 100 nanometers. We have tested the functions of the materials, and the iron element, the polyphenol, can work well in curbing the development of the tumor cells. So we used the experiment, we worked on experiments in mouse, and our therapy proved effective in curbing the development of tumor cells. There is also experiment on the gas therapy and the PTT. And it kills the bacteria, and it helps diminish the inflammation. It creates a very strong inflammation storm. The sulfur hydrogen molecules can help diminish the expression of the immuno functions. The further studies have proved that the harm to the skin can be very strong. So we also carried out experiment on the wound healing. Last but not least, I'd like to summarize a little bit of what we have done. The polyphenol has two materials. One is metal material, another is polyphenol metal material. It has different functions. It can be tailor-made according to the needs of the patients. And you can select the different kinds of polyphenols to compose the material. So you can make different materials based on the selection of different polyphenols. And currently, it is applied in the cancer therapy. It can also have other ways of application, for example, to diminish inflammation and diminish the bacteria. Last but not least, we'd like to thank my team, especially the doctors and the postdoctors in the Institute of Health of Macau University, and also the funding agencies. Thank you. Thank you, Professor Dai, for bringing us the latest technologies. You have been talking about the metal polyphenol materials. What's the difference between it and the traditional materials? And what's its advantage? Actually, this metal polyphenol material has one biggest advantage. It is because it can be composed very fast, and it is natural, it is safe. If there can be one problem about the application of the material, it must be about the safety. Though we focus on basic research, but for the future application, we think the polyphenol material can solve the concerns of safety. Thank you. The BEYOND Expo is a large event about investment and technology innovations. What kind of prospect do you think for the application of the materials? Well, thank you for your question. I think the development of the material is still in its early stage. Our university focuses on basic research and teaching, but the metal polyphenol material has bright prospects. For example, it can work together with the silver ions, and it can diminish the bacteria. So these are the advantages of this material. We hope we can find opportunities to work together to promote it to larger application areas. Thank you, Professor Dai, for your interesting sharing. We hope to witness more fruitful results from your research. Thank you. Thank you. We have heard interesting speeches from 4 guests from different fields of the biotechnology and also the materials. I think this is the aim of hosting this expo. Well, we are drawing close to the end of this ceremony. Now let's welcome onto stage the closing speech of the initiator of this forum. Good afternoon, everyone. Are you okay? Are you happy with Expo? First of all, I think I was delivering speeches every day. I almost forgot what I would like to say, but I have to say thank you. I'd like to start by saying thank you because BEYOND has gone through a lot of experiences. The participants have given us tremendous support, so thank you. And BEYOND is not only about an expo, it's about a technological platform. As a platform, we expect lots of resources to back up. So today I'd like to thank all the organizers, the Ministry of Commerce, the State Council, the SASAC, the International Technology Exchange Centers, and other organizers for providing the strongest support to BEYOND Expo. Here, I'd like to especially thank the Macau Trade and Commerce Promotion Office for giving us the support from the very beginning. Also, a special thanks to our supporting organizations. A lot of companies, thank you. Without your support, we cannot go this far. We start from scratch. In the beginning, we didn't know how to set up the stage or to decorate the indoor space. So I'd like to thank you all, to thank our chief strategic partner, the China Construction Group and the Taiping Insurance Group, and the other important partners and also the sponsor for the Beyond Awards, the China Bank, and also Alibaba, Tencent, and also our international strategic partnership, CGTN, and also other important partners. Thank you for providing all kinds of support in the support of media and technology. And also, I'd like to thank Wang Yi. And also, I'd like to thank the Xunfei group, technology group. So, a tremendous thank you to all of you. Secondly, I would like to thank my friends for your great support. Over the past years, I have visited lots of companies, loads of companies. Many companies have come here because of me. And when we are telling the stories of Beyond, and they bought our stories, so they came. And they agreed to come next year. And when I was talking off stage with someone who was close to me, he said he had been to many different conferences and forums. If you visit Shenzhen, you will find the Micwell, which is a company produced by my friend. He said he detected many problems, but he can tolerate these problems. Because throughout the 3 days of the conference, he said our partners are very tolerant of our mistakes and errors. So thank you for your tolerance. Last but not least, I'd like to thank my Beyond team. Many people ask me, how many are in my team? The answer is 20. Only 20 people on board. Every day, things change quickly. And this is the first time for the Beyond event to be delivered. No one knows what Beyond will look like in the future. So it's the first time for us to work on a technology brand conference in Macau. We learned that Macau, although we don't have such a fundamental technological capacity as strong as in Beijing, but we have made it. Although it's far from satisfaction, it's far from perfect, because we aim high. We aim high in beyond business, beyond technology, and beyond innovation. Still, many pioneering companies in the industry have joined us here in Macau. A lot of middle school students have showed up on site. One friend, an investor who named Zhou Wei from CCV, also came. He posted a video clip of the school students watching the technology demonstrations. He commented that the students are engaged in the demonstrations. So I think our goals are met. I hope our presence will bring the technology to the young people. So I am proud of my team. Let's raise a round of applause to my team members. Well, I'd also like to thank our volunteers. Without your devotion and help, we cannot make this happen. Last but not least, I'd like to thank my partner, Mr. Jason, for having everyone here. Many ask me when is the date for next year's Beyond event. I can't give you the clear answer now, but I am confident that we will come back. What will we look like in the next year? I don't know, but we are trying to imagine and we are trying to envision. And we are trying to do the after-action review of this year's event. And you may have my word. If the COVID-19 situation grows better, we will try to become not only the best technology platform in Macau, we will aim to be a best platform in the world. Like what we have done this year, we have delivered many online technology platforms this year. And next year, we will try to do the same. We will try to invite the top-notch scientists, the scholars and experts, and the businessmen to Macau. So let's wait and see. This year's event of the Beyond Expo is coming to an end. As we discussed off stage, we asked whether we would like to tour through the exhibitions again. This event has been prepared for 1 year. After the event is over, maybe in 4 or 5 hours, everything will be gone. I feel quite bizarre at this, but I think the end of this year's event beholds the beginning of next year's event. So I believe we will have a brighter future for next year. So see you next year. Thank you.